I would like to acknowledge Wurundjeri country, as that is where this podcast is recorded, and extend this acknowledgement to all First Nations peoples, past, present, and emerging. This podcast takes a holistic approach on community building and knowledge sharing that I hope you can utilise in your life. Let's do this.
Morning light and coffee black. Lesson plans are on the stack. Ready for the students' track. Gonna find our groove.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Stranger in the Staff Room, where myself, Zoe Zammit, or as the kiddos call me, Miss Zammit, I am a first-time teacher sharing lifelong stories, including my first ever school holidays, as a teacher at least. I obviously had them as a student. Damn, I just had a bit of an existential crisis because, I went to school to go to school to work out of school. So, I really don't know whether when I'm talking to people to say, oh, when I go to school or when I go to work, because it's the same thing. Anyway, I will deal with that existential crisis later. I hope everyone had a good Easter break if you celebrate. If not, I just hope you took time for yourself anyway. Use it as an excuse. Why not? I have just finished my first day of term 2, so my first day back. It's a Wednesday. It is a 2-day week. Not complaining about that. Strange, yes, but it's because of public holidays and things like that. So I think it's a nice way to ease back into it. I'm quite tired. The mascara's playing it off. So yeah, we'll get into it in a bit about the work-life balance of school holidays. But I do feel rested, and I felt rested. So I felt like I could take on today, and I think that's why I was so excited about it. Just to see my kiddos and to see my friends and, be back into the groove of things, because I felt like in the last sort of part of the school holidays, I could feel old mental states and emotions coming back, which can turn into some real deep negative self-talk of hopelessness and worthlessness. I'm just one of those people that needs my work to be my passion and my purpose, or at least one of my purposes. So yeah, that's one of the things I learned from school holidays from myself personally. But I have got 5 different factors today that people don't tell you about school holidays as a teacher. And that's what we're going to be diving into today. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab anything that you do to get relaxed, and let's jump into the hot goss.
Every day we learn and grow, setting minds all in a row, teaching them what they need to know, feeling that we're smooth.
Things they don't tell you about school holidays. Dun, dun, dun. You ready for the tea? It's not even that piping hot tea, but it's just experienced teachers are like, no, that's how it is. But when you're a new teacher, you're like, oh, someone could have told me that. Someone could have let me know. All right, cool. So let's start off with number 1. This was the main thing that I was thinking about the school holidays in terms of what they don't tell you about them. It's government speak for working from home. I wish I was lying. I really, really wish I was lying, because you talk to family members and things like that about, oh, I'm going to be a teacher, and they're like, oh, such a good career path. You get holidays every 10 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. But we're still working. And I feel like the misconception about the holidays is from the type of workers or the type of teachers. Same thing. I feel like the misconception about school holidays comes from the teachers that can just sit at the desk all day for a couple of days and just smash out their work the first days of holidays, and then off they go into the bright wide world. How many times did I say days there? Oh my God. Anyway, I am not one of those people, unfortunately. I tried in the first couple of days and I realized this is not how I work. And I thought it'd be very similar to how I used to do homework and things as a student, and even as a uni student, how I'd work from home. But it's a whole different sort of system that I've got to get used to. So I thought I could smash it out in a couple of days, and that was a big fat lie. I had 3 classes to mark papers for, as well as other extracurricular admin. And I was like, I'll get it done in the first week. It's still not done. Come on, Zoe. You know yourself. Pull yourself together. So I learnt very late, I would like to say, in the holidays, that I need to take 2 to 3 hours a day of the school holidays to really focus on work and then have the rest of the day to myself, because that's just how I best function. I really wish I learnt that early on. And also adding on to that, my school is open, like the receptionists are still there, admin team's still there. You just have to let them know whether you're going to be in or out of the school. I really wish that I took more days to go on campus to work, because I'm just one of those people that need a different location for different activities. Like, for example, I'm sitting at my desk. I don't think I've done a piece of teaching work at this desk. And it's a beautiful desk. I won't show you now though, because it's a mess. Which gets onto my future point, so we're not going to talk about that yet. But it's like my brain has registered my desk as my podcast studio almost. Like, I really only sit down here to record the podcast. So silly me thought that I could work from home. Nope. Absolutely not. I went into work during the second week for a day because I had to do a lot of printing and scanning, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to go do that at Officeworks when my work's the exact same amount of time away. So I went and did that, and I did more work then than I did that entire 7 days prior. And I was like, this is so bittersweet to realize, because why couldn't have this realization worked earlier? So I really wish that I got to know my work ethic in terms of teaching before then. Working from home. It's government speak for working from home, our school holidays. Okay, we almost sort of touched on this a little bit in the last point, but things they don't tell you about school holidays as a teacher. Your family and friends will be shocked that school holidays for a teacher are not the same as school holidays for a student. I have teachers in my big Maltese family, which is why I was like, why are we all so shocked? Like, we should know this. Like, I had like my grandparents and my cousins coming over, and they're like, what are you doing work? And I'm like, it's almost like it's my job. It's almost like it's a full-time job just like yours. And I know it didn't come from a place of malice, but again, there's just such a misconception about how many days off we have as teachers. It's just not the case. It's just a different work week or work quarter, if you will, if you're going to include holidays. So I am glad that I was able to educate them on that, but in saying that, I wish it was just general knowledge. So yeah, that's my second point, that the holidays don't work for teachers as they do for students. I didn't mean for this third one to get morbid, but we're going there. All right, things they don't tell you about school holidays as a teacher. You will mourn your freedom. Now, I don't know whether this is just because of like a quarter life crisis or something, but like I was sort of mentioning earlier in the podcast, this episode, I mean, not the entire podcast. Towards the end of school holidays, I was sort of having these feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness, and it's just like, oh, what are we doing today? Like, there was just no sort of direction apart from, marking a couple of papers and things like that. And I guess there was mourning involved in that because, oh, there's a fly there. Hello. We're mourning together. Because I had so much freedom. The uni schedule is fantastic. Like, you just do whatever you so please. And school holidays give you a bit of that taste back. And it made me realize how many hours I spend at my school. Like, it's a full-time job. Like, it's a no moment. But it's a lot of hours. Like, we don't have that many hours in a week as, human beings. And most of it is spent at work. So I understand what my pa used to say to me about if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. There'll always be boring bits, but you won't work a day in your life. I would hate to think that I ever went into an industry that didn't give me as much joy as it does, because if I was spending most of my time somewhere that I didn't like, just nothing could get done. If I don't see a point in something, I'm just not going to do it. Which is, probably not the best work ethic to have, but as long as you tell me why, I'll most likely understand your point of view. Yeah, before we go off on a tangent, I found this sort of realization a little bit difficult, but I've been using the tools and resources that I've been working through with my therapist and just, the little life experience I have now. And I was able to see it as quite a beautiful thing to be grateful for being in an industry that does give you the flexibility of, 2 to 6 weeks of just, work at your own pace. I think that's beautiful. So unfortunately you might mourn your freedom, but hopefully you can flip that around and have some gratitude for what has been happening in your life to get you to that point. Alrighty, we've got quite a short episode today, which could just be because of my tiredness at the moment. I sat down at this chair and I'm like, I'm going to record 3. We're not getting 1 done today. All jokes aside. I think we're just going to leave it at 1 episode today and then just take the rest of the night to just relax and celebrate the fact that I survived my first ever term and I'm back and I'm still surviving. So this is the halfway mark. Theme music's going to play in 3, 2, 1.
Classroom halls, answering those curious calls, cheering when a student falls and gets back up anew.
Alrighty, we're back. And I just took a quick look in what my camera's seeing, and oh my god, the zits are insane. So you can tell the Easter chocolate's been brought out. Weird tangent, but my dad has passed on whatever genetic it is that if we eat too much sugar, or like in one sitting, we get a pimple on our nose. And like obviously people get pimples from sugary foods, but it's only our nose. I don't know what this one on my cheek is. I have no idea, but my nose is covered from the Easter sugar. Will I go and devour some more when this is done? Abso-freaking-lutely. We never learn. Beautiful. So, number 4, things they don't tell you about school holidays as a teacher. It's very easy to rot in bed for the entire time. Oh my God. So, I'm very, very lucky to have parents that I have with such determined work ethics. Like, I feel like it's really helped me, thrive in whatever environment I'm put in. I just know to give it my all and reap the rewards from it. In saying that, I have been working with my therapist on knowing when to set boundaries and take breaks and things like that, which I am constantly telling them to do. But anyway, what do I know? So when it got to school holidays and I was trying to work out this work-life balance, I was trying to take inspiration from them and just give it 110%, reap the rewards. The issue with me is that I need rewards pretty quickly. And I wasn't going to get any reward for my work until today, which was a whole, even more than 2 weeks. So very easy for me to rot in bed instead. Did I let myself? Yeah. Honestly, yeah. At least 3 of the days I was just like, you know what? If I get changed today, that is a tick. If I get out of my pajamas, it's a tick. If I eat something with some sort of sustenance, it's a tick. And I just sat in bed and watched YouTube or read my book or, I did some painting. I have found that I really love painting. And just had moments like that where I'm like, you know what? The typical definition of productive. Not today. And that allowed me to have energy for the other days where I was like, all right, we actually need to do some work now. Let's go. So when I say it's very easy to rot in bed, it is, but you also need to allow yourself those days. You know yourself better than anyone. You'll work it out, but don't deny yourself the chance to relax because you don't get very many chances as a teacher, if not for holidays. Alrighty, and our final one on our list. Things they don't tell you about school holidays as a teacher. You need to find a sense of play and relaxation as many times as possible. Technically kind of went into this. How's that for planning? I totally planned that. But it's so true. The relaxation was me rotting, I'll be completely honest. But I don't give myself permission to do that. And if it does look like I'm relaxing, I'm not. I'm just there like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Why are you doing this now? Blah, 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 blah. But this time I actually relaxed with purpose, and having that sense of play was so good. Like, yeah, my sense of play has been painting, and I obviously love making reels for the Stranger in the Staff Room Instagram, which if you're not following, what are you doing? Link in the show notes to connect in all ways that's possible to the Sitzer community. Yeah, I just love being creative like that, and I really think you need to block out time for that in your holidays, because once again, it's very rare that you'll be able to do that outside of the school holidays. Yeah, that is my final thing that they don't tell you about school holidays as a teacher. So if I could go back to maybe week 8 or 9 of term 1, I would tell myself to sit down, get your journal out. I love my journal. I collect stickers on it. It's very cute. And just work out your boundaries. Work out when you're going to have that sense of play, when you're going to have that sense of rot, and when you're going to have that sense of work. And just try and stick to it as much as possible, but also being gentle on yourself. I really think it wouldn't come to me as a shock if I did that self-work a couple of weeks back. So if you're going to take any lesson from this podcast episode, let it be that. Alrighty. Well, that's all I have to chat about today. I'd love to make this a series, things they don't tell you about. Could have a catchy, I was going to say ringtone. Huh? Am I an English teacher? Huh? Things they don't tell you about. It could have a better title. I can't believe that was the word I was meant to find then, was title. Oh, and I went for ringtone. Oh, it's time for me to go to bed. Anyway, it might come up with a better title. If you think of anything, let a girl know. But yeah, if there's anything in the industry that you wish you got told about, like school holidays, pop a comment down below. You can always private message me on Instagram. Email me at strangerinthestaffroom@gmail.com. There's so many ways to give feedback, and your idea might end up on a podcast episode. Yeah, so hopefully that happens, but if not, that's okay. We work together, me and you, in terms of what I provide and what you would like to learn. That is it, apart from my 5 points that I've discussed with you today. So hope you all have a great fortnight, because we publish these podcasts every fortnight. And that is Stranger in the Staff Room, over and out.
Teaching vibes were in the air, sharing knowledge everywhere, guiding young minds with such care. This is what we do.